Good morning, Alyssa. This is Miss Tracy. It is almost 8 o'clock in the morning, and I've been up for approximately 30 minutes, so I might be a little slow today. Just giving you a heads up. I'll get some of my coffee here. Good coffee. Good coffee. All right, let's jump into lesson 95, 96. I'm going to solve this first problem. The first thing I see in solving it is that we've got, let me get my pen here. We've got a term we can eliminate right away, and then that gives us 4x squared is equal to 8 when we combine those, which is easy to solve because we divide everything by 4. X squared is equal to 2. When we unsquare it, x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 2. So there's our x value. So we're going to first of all set x equal to positive square root of 2. And then we'll set it equal to the negative square root of 2. All right, so when it is the positive square root of 2, I put it in and I get, let's use this one up here. When it is the positive square root of 2, x squared is 2, right? Plus y squared is equal to 10. So y squared is equal to 8. So to unsquare it, y is equal to plus or minus 2 times the square root of 2. So that means I've got a positive 2 times the square root of 2, and that's kind of snug in there. Let me write that better. And then that means I've got a negative 2 times the square root of 2 when x is a positive. Now, if I take this as a negative square root of 2 and I square it, I'm still going to get 2. So my answer would be the same if it is a negative square root of 2 for my x term as well. So those are your proper responses there. You're going to get all 4 of those. And when you have, one of the things you need to do when you are looking at Jupyter and you're looking at the blanks that you have available, go back to this problem. You've got 4 blanks. So if you have 4 blanks and you have 4 results, then you enter all of the results, right? 1 in each blank. So each one of these would be, let's say you've got, actually you don't need to put the first parenthesis in because it'll give you an error on the back end. It's something I have learned along the way. And then that would be positive 2 times square root of 2. And then the back parenthesis, you see how it automatically pops in that first parenthesis. I have a lot of students who get the right answer, but they type it in and they get that double parenthesis at the front because that's just the way Jupyter works. Part of getting the right answer is knowing how Jupyter works. All right, so we'd have the same answer if this were negative. And then we would have a negative version here. And then we get another one of these if x were negative square root of 2. All right, so you get with positive, you get a positive. With the negative, you get a positive. With the positive, you get a negative. And with the negative, you get the negative. All right, those are all of our answers that we got. If we go back over here, you'd see with the positive, you get a positive. With the negative, you get a positive. With the positive, you get a negative. And with the negative, you get a negative. So those are our 4 answers for this solution set. Let's check and see if they're right. And that's correct. Let's move on to the next problem. All right, again, we've got, you see the parentheses? So we're only going to have 2 answers. So we need to look for that format here. So here I am going to, let's evaluate this one. I'm going to divide both sides by y. And that's going to give me x is equal to 6 over y. That's what I'm going to sub in for x. So 4 times 6 over y minus y is equal to 3. 24 over y minus y is equal to 3. All right, so I need to multiply everything by y. So what I get is negative y squared plus 24 minus 3y is equal to 0. Let me rearrange that. Negative y squared minus 3y plus 24. And I don't like that negative y, so I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1. So what I get is y squared plus 3y minus 24 is equal to 0. All right, now I cannot factor that. I can't. I'm looking at it, and there's no way I can factor that, even if I were to do some type of multiplication of the different terms. I'd still end up with 24 that has to be factored to find a 3. So I'm going to use the quadratic formula. And because this is y, you say y, right? Y is equal to negative 3 plus or minus, that would be 9 squared. 3 squared would be 9 minus 1 times negative 24 would be negative 24 times 4. All over 2 times 1 would be 2. So y is equal to negative 3 plus or minus the square root of, that's 96 plus 9 would be 105. And actually what we want to do is separate those. And that'd be 3 over 2 and square root of 5 over 2. All right. That's my y value. So I'm going to move this around so I can actually see what I'm doing here. We're going to use the positive, the plus. Let's do the plus first. So I'm going to use that original 4x, was it minus y? Yeah, 4x minus y is equal to 3. I don't like using that negative y. It just muddies the water. So I'm going to add it to both sides and I get y plus 3. Now I can just put the positive, whatever this is, in the way that it is. 4x is equal to negative 3 over 2. Let's do positive 105 over 2 plus 3. All right, when I divide both sides, all right, how does this work? When I divide both sides, I get, this is going to be multiplied by 4 because of keep it, change it, flip it, right? So I'll keep all of this and then I will flip it and say times 4 over 1. Is that right? No, that'd be times, because this would be 4 over 1. So it'd be times 1 over 4. So then I would say 1/4 times each one of these, which would give me, all right, I'm just going to do it the long way and show you. All right, so if I divide by 4, then x is going to be equal to, this becomes 4 over 1. We'll keep it, change it, flip it. This is 3 over 1. Now everything's a fraction. So keep it, change it, flip it. So then this becomes negative 3 over 2 plus square root of 105 over 2 plus 3 over 1 times 1 over 4. So this is the long way. X is equal to, I'm not sure why I still have, I don't guess I still have to have the parenthesis there. That would be negative 3 over 8 plus square root of 105 over 8 plus 3 over 4. So if I double that, that'd be 6 over 8. So then that and that would combine, and x would be equal to a positive 3 over 8 plus square root of 105 over 8. Yes, that's correct. All right, so when y is positive, I get this. So here's my first term. I would have 3 over 8 plus square root of 105 over 8. And that's with the positive, so it's negative 3 over 2 plus square root of 105 over 2. There's my positive version of this. So now I need to do my negative version. And if I'm looking at this correctly, it's not going to change anything except the sign right here. Which would mean it would change the sign right here. So using logic instead of actually doing the calculation, I can see that this is not going to have a major impact. So it's going to be 3 over 8 minus 1 over 5 over 8. And this would still be negative 3 over 2. But this would be minus 105 over 2. And when we use the negative, that changes the x value to the negative. And that's why we have those two answers. So those are your two answers. All right, because it's the only thing that changes in the whole problem. All the numbers remain the same. It's just that this becomes a minus all the way through. This would still be a positive, and we would still combine it with the negative 3/8. So you'd still have a positive 3/8. But then this would just be a minus sign, and this will be minus sign. That's the only thing that's different. So then we would type that in to Jupyter. Let's see if it'll take that for us. We would have 3 over 8 plus 105 over 8 for that one. And then our y is a negative 3 over 2 plus 105 over 2. And then we would have 3 over 8 minus square root of 105 over 8. And then the same thing, negative 3 over 2 minus square root of 105 over 2. Let's check our work. And those are all correct. All right, let's look at the next one. All right, again, we've got some things that we can cancel out here. So we can cancel out the y's. That gives us 3x squared is equal to 15. So x squared is equal to 5, which means that x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 5. So now we have our x term. We're going to have two answers. We'll have the positive square root of 5, and we'll have the negative square root of 5. Those will be our two options here. So we're going to start by subbing in Let's see, which one do we want to do first? Let's do the positive. You're going to get approximately the same answer because positive times positive and negative times negative is going to give you the same thing. So that's why I say you're only going to have two answers. So square root of 5, if we go back into, let's do this one. We want to do that? Yeah, let's do this one. So if you have square root of 5 squared plus y squared, sorry, equals 16. So square root of 5 times square root of 5, that's going to be 5 plus y squared is equal to 16. So if I subtract 5 from both sides, y squared is equal to 11. So y is equal to plus or minus square root of 11. So that's going to be plus or minus square root of 11. And then this is going to be the same thing because if this is a negative square root of 5, it's still the same 5, right? So the answer is the same thing. We don't have to solve it again. Those should be your two answers. And I'm fine with you answering it like this because it doesn't change. The main thing is to look at the solution set. Yeah, you've got two solution sets here. So that's going to be square root of 5 for the first answer, and then negative square root of 5 for the second one. Then over here, you're going to have plus or minus square root of 11, and then plus or minus square root of 11. I didn't make you write 4 of those out because it's so straightforward. All right, so let's look at the next one that you struggled with. I think it was this one, maybe. Let's look and see. No, it was not. So let's find it over here. It's that one, I think. Yeah. Okay, so that one would be in lesson 96. I've got my solutions book over here to help me make sure that I get your answers right, because it's early in the morning and Miss Tracy is still sleepy. Okay, so I'm looking. Let me find it. All right, here we go. So it was actually a practice problem for lesson 96. So if you looked at lesson 96, you should have seen this practice problem actually solved in the lesson. So as an example problem, it was 96.3. So it was almost done for you in the video. How about that? So if you go back and you look at the video, you should be able to find this problem. So basically what they did, they took this one, they solved for x. So x, they divided both sides by y. X is equal to 6 over y. That's the substitution value they used. So then they've got 6y minus 2y is equal to 3. We multiply both of these, all three of these, by y to get a common denominator. So 6 minus 2y squared is equal to 3y. So then we rewrite that as 2y squared plus 3y minus 6 is equal to 0, because when we subtract this, we have and we reorder it, we have a negative 2y. So we multiply everything times negative 1, which gives us the opposite value. We set that equal to 0. So now we're going to use the quadratic formula because we can't figure out how to make that work any other way through factoring. So we say y is equal to negative 3 plus or minus 9 minus 4 times 2 times negative 6 all over 2 times 2, which is 4. So y is equal to negative 3 over 4 plus or minus square root of 57 over 4. So now we'll use this linear equation here to solve for x by substituting in the values of y. So when y is the positive, let's look for the positive, negative 3 over 4 plus square root of 57 over 4. And I put that in the x location. Of course I did. Let's redo that. Let's leave room for x. So this would be y, negative 3 over 4 plus square root of 57 over 4. All right, so now let's put that in for y. X minus 2 times negative 3 over 4 plus square root of 57 over 4 equals 3. So we're going to multiply negative 2 times both of these terms. X plus 6 over 4 minus 2 times square root of 57 over 4 is equal to 3. All right, so then I'm going to actually, there's a faster way. Let me do this a faster way. More succinctly, at least, so I don't have to deal with all this back and forth. X minus 2y is equal to 3. Add 2y to both sides. Prep the problem. That's one of the things that we are not great at, is looking at the problem and saying, okay, what format do I need to put it in before I solve it? Because then that will make my life easier. So now if I do this, I can solve for x without having to worry about anything, because x is already by itself. So x is going to be equal to 2 times negative 3 over 4 plus square root of 57 over 4 plus 3. That's going to be negative 6 over 8 plus 2 times square root of 57 over 4. That should not be an 8. That should be a 4. You're probably going, why is it a 8, Miss Tracy? It's not. It's a 4. Plus, and I'm going to make this have a common denominator of 4. So that'd be 4 times 3. That'd be 12 over 4. So when I add 12 and negative 6, x is equal to 6 over 4 plus 2 times the square root of 57 over 4. All of that reduces. X is equal to 3 over 2 plus square root of 57 over 2 when this is positive. So 3 over 2 plus square root of 57 over 2. And whenever we do this again and we make this a minus sign to do the other, the minus version, it's not going to change anything other than making the x minus also. So 3 over 2 minus square root of 57 over 2, negative 3 over 4 minus square root of 57 over 4. Those are our two terms. Let's go back over here. We'll put that in. We've got 3 over 2, oops, plus square root of 57 over 2, and then we've got negative 3 over 4 plus square root of 57 over 4. Then down here we've got 3 over 2 minus square root of 57 over 2 and negative 3 over 4 minus square root of 57 over 4. And those are your two solutions. And those are all right. All right, let's look at the next one you had. Was there a next one? Nope, that was it. That was it. Really? Wow, that went pretty quick. All right, so that's all you had to do for those. Sometimes it's a formatting thing and you go, hey, how many spaces do I have? That's how many answers I should have. Other times it's just, knowing how to swap that sign out to get from one to the other, given the options. Nothing changed here because the plus sign, this didn't actually get added. So because it didn't actually get added or subtracted, it just stayed what it was. You just had to change the sign. So that is what made it a different sign for the X when this was minus. That's all we're doing. Do look for opportunities when you have a situation like that and you're subbing in for Y. You're solving for X, subbing in for Y. So why not go ahead and get X by itself first, then do the substitution? If you can simplify it first before you do this, it's going to make your life a lot easier. It's going to be fewer steps. So that is just, a note there. You would still get to the same answer. It would just take you longer because then you'd have to multiply, subtract, each individual term, and it'd be a pain in the butt. So solve for X first before you substitute. See if that helps you solve it faster. And that's all I got for you, sweetheart. I hope that helps and gives you what you need to understand how to do those problems. And I will see you on Thursday.